Welcome to the Halosys mobile and web API platform for NetSuite Demo. The Halosys platform allows you to rapidly build mobile and web applications that are integrated with your business systems, such as NetSuite and almost any other data source. Custom databases, Salesforce, SAP, Oracle are just some other examples of data sources you can easily connect to with the Halosys platform. Everything on this platform is done as a matter of configuration and no coding is required. It covers everything from the integration, security, data mapping, notifications, user and app management, the logs, analytics, and more for the app. Essentially, the entire backend services and management for the mobile and web apps. For the front end or user interface, we provide an API and SDK for the IDE of your choice. This could be Xcode, Android Studio, and PhoneGap for native and hybrid mobile apps. And we also have a JavaScript API and SDK for web apps. We also provide a no-code design studio for building the UI or front end of HTML5 mobile web apps. So we're going to run through a few of the key features of the Halosys platform in this demo. For a full demo, please don't hesitate to reach out to Halosys so that we can get one scheduled for you. We can be reached by email at hello@halosys.com. So the first thing that you would do in the Halosys platform is connect to your data source, such as NetSuite. So we'll go ahead and click on Add Data Source. The platform comes with pre-built connectors for popular business systems such as NetSuite, Salesforce, SAP, Siebel, and others. And it also supports all of the common protocols to connect to just about any other data source, such as SOAP, REST, OData, and JDBC. So for this instance, we're going to be connecting to a NetSuite data source. You simply first select your data source type, and then you select your authentication type. For NetSuite, it's always going to be admin. Now we can name our data source. This could be any name that you wish that to associate with this data source. So let's say NetSuite 5. So we'll choose NetSuite 5 as the name of this data source. Then you're going to enter the username and password for any admin account in NetSuite. This could be an existing user or this can be a web services only account. Then we'll enter our account number and we'll select whether this is a sandbox or not. In this case, no, it's not a sandbox. And then we click Add Data Source. And essentially, that's all you do to add your data source. Your data source is now connected and set up. So let's go ahead and take a look at that data source we just created. We said it was NetSuite 5. So here's our data source. We can run a quick test to make sure everything is configured correctly. Boom, it tested correctly. That's great. Let's go ahead and take a look inside. So here's the data source we just integrated with. If we look at the details, you can see that the platform has already discovered all of the available objects within NetSuite, that specific NetSuite account that we just connected to. Examples of what an object is would be sales order, employee, contact, account, lead, even custom records, custom searches, and custom fields. And you can see that there are 176 different objects in this instance of NetSuite that the platform has discovered. So now the platform is fully integrated with the NetSuite account. And this is a two-way integration to push and pull data between NetSuite and your apps. It literally takes less than 1 minute to set this up, as you can see. So the next thing I'm going to cover is how easy it is to map objects from your data source for use in your apps. We call these mapped objects client objects. And creating client objects is just as easy as connecting to the data sources. So we'll just go to the APIs menu and select client objects. You can see here existing client objects. These can be reused for any of your apps. So you make a client object or mapping one time and you can use it over and over and over again. We love templating in this platform. So we'll select new client object and Let's assume for the purposes of this demo that we are a NetSuite customer, we're a wholesale distributor, and we are building a native mobile app that lets our retailers scan or punch in purchase orders in the mobile app and pushes those sales orders directly into NetSuite to automatically create a sales order in NetSuite. So we'll need to map data from the NetSuite sales order object for the app in that case. So for the purposes of this demo, let's name that this object NetSuite sales orders. The next thing that we can do is we can set a cache for this object. And that allows for increased performance or offline capabilities by caching the data for this object in the app rather than having to retrieve the data from NetSuite every time. So let's go ahead and say we'll set this cache for 500 minutes. Now we just select the data source that we created, which was NetSuite 5. There's the data source we just created. And let's select the sales order object. Now what you can see here is in the unmapped fields column are all the different fields available in the sales order object within NetSuite. And you can see there's just a ton of fields. It literally finds everything in NetSuite and makes it available for your applications. So for the purposes of this demo, let's just map a few fields by simply clicking on the fields. Let's map the internal ID. Let's map sales rep. Let's go ahead and map the billing address. Let's go ahead and map shipping address. Let's go ahead and map the item list. Of course, you'll need the items in your sales order. And then we'll map the total so we can display the total of the sales order. And entities so that we can display the customer. Entity would be the customer name. Okay, so now we've mapped all the fields that we're going to need for our mini sales order app for these retailers to hypothetically enter sales orders on the app and push those orders into their distributor's NetSuite account. We can also add custom fields for this app. These would be custom fields that aren't already in NetSuite. So we could name this, let's just name it custom field or just custom. Then we choose the field type, and let's say it's an image. So we'll say a file type and click the plus sign. That's how easy it is to add custom fields. Now you can also select whether these fields can be updated from the app by checking the update box. So in this case, if we were entering information into the app, such as information for a sales order, and pushing that information into NetSuite to create a sales order record, then we would want these to be updated from the app. So these would be available for update. And then we can select whether these are required fields or not. And it's as simple as that. So we can go ahead and save this as is, or we could save and add notifications. So with the Halosys platform, you have the ability to add custom notifications around each of these objects. So for example, if we're sticking to the use case of a wholesale distributor giving the app out to his retailers to put orders in, then we want to give the retailer, say, an SMS, email, or push notification when his order ships. Then we could do that from the platform. Since the app is directly communicating with NetSuite through the platform, then we know when that order ships, and we can communicate that through the platform to the app and send a notification. So this is what it would look like to add a notification for a specific object. We won't get into so many details on this, but it's very simple just for time purposes. But you would simply name the notification, just say order shipped. Select the notification type, and you can see it's dynamic, so the fields change based on the notification type. And say if we choose email, we enter the subject, your order has shipped. And then we could add the content for the notification. We could say hi @ Now we can say user first name, your order has shipped. What I did there is I added a dynamic field. There's a number of out-of-the-box fields that are available as dynamic fields simply by hitting the symbol, or any object that you've mapped from your data source into this object is now available as a dynamic field in these notifications. You can get pretty creative with your notifications and provide very contextual, relevant content in these notifications, like sales order numbers, order statuses, whatever it may be. You can do that simply by mapping those fields. They will be available. You can add attachments. You can choose the different events that will trigger these notifications. You can choose different roles that these will ship out to. So instead of shooting a notification out to everyone, you can specify certain roles. These are roles that are separate from NetSuite. These are roles actually in our platform, because you can create different roles and privileges in this platform and the from field. And so that's a rough, very simple explanation of how you would add a notification. And it's very, very simple. You can also view the relationships around your different client objects and the schema, of course. The schema is what we just created, or the data mapping. And you can actually view a sample object of what you have just created here as well. So connecting to the notification providers. So to send the notifications, you will need notification providers for SMS, email, or push notifications. And it's extremely simple. It's just as simple as connecting to any other data source. So we'll say, let's add a new notification configuration and choose the notification type or a provider of your choice. And it's as easy as that. So we support all of the most popular providers for notifications. This could be SMS, email, or push notifications. So providers such as Twilio, SendGrid, Urban Airship, Google, just to name a few, and just about any other provider. Setup takes a minute or less and is a simple configuration process, just like everything else in the platform. And to configure the content of the notifications, you can create a notification template. These are notifications that will be used across more than one app. Or, like I just showed you before, you can create specific notification templates that are specific to those objects that you create. So just like everything else on the platform, it's very simple, just a matter of configuration, and can be done in a matter of minutes. These are things that normally this process, from connecting to your data sources, creating the APIs, mapping the data and building the schemas, setting up notification connectivity and the rules and messages, it would just we'd already be at weeks. So this really, really simplifies the process of building apps integrated to your business systems, especially NetSuite. So we also support single sign-on authentication providers such as Ping or Okta. So if you want your users, say they're your employees, to connect to the app through their single sign-on, that can be done through here. We support any LDAP or SAML provider, and just like everything else, it's a simple matter of configuration. For LDAP, you would enter these base credentials here, and you'd be connected. And for SAML, you get a special certificate from your provider, like Okta. You just name that, and upload your certificate, and you're done. So the next thing I want to cover on the platform is some of the management, the operations that you can do with the platform. Such for example, user management. So your apps and your platform will have users. And from here, you can manage those users. Say you have an employee or a customer that you don't want to have access to the application anymore. You can lock them out of all the applications that have been provided to them. If they forget their passwords, you can reset their passwords. You can remote wipe the data from all of the devices that they're registered on, and you can deactivate them altogether. You can also manage the roles. So like I said, you can set up different roles, and these roles can provide more context around different access levels or notifications. Another thing that you can do is manage apps on devices. So say your employees bring their own device, they use their own devices if we're talking about mobile apps. You can view the devices here that are being used, and say your employee, they lose their device and there's sensitive data on that app. Well, you can simply go ahead and remote wipe the app from that specific device. So it provides a lot of security and a lot of different protections against those things, and a lot of insight. So you can see, well, most of my users are using Android, so maybe the next app I should just develop just an Android app and skip iOS. Or say if you have a good mix of both and you want to just do a hybrid app to make it easier. So there's different, you can change the table display for the relevant information you want to see. So that's a great asset for any user of the platform. We also provide some very rich logs, so you can see what APIs are being called, logs around different notifications, logs around any crashes or crash logs, so you can see all kinds of information that you need to see. What are the different APIs that are being hit? All kinds of stuff. Like you can change the table display here to suit the view of your choice. Like I said, notifications. What is the last notification that went out? Did the message go through? And any crash logs. So if there was a crash, what was the problem? So this is really helpful in debugging your application. We also provide reports and analytics. These reports are around users, API usage, devices, registrations, downloads, logins. And this data can be mixed and matched in any way to provide you the insight that you need to know around the usage of your apps. So that covers the integrations and mapping. I guess we'd call that the admin side of things and the operation side of things with the platform. And like you've seen, everything is a matter of simple configuration. Now to actually, when you want to start building your first app, you go over here to apps and you would create a new app. As you can see here, we support iOS, Android, web apps, mobile web apps. We even support third-party apps. So let's go ahead and create a new app. First thing we're going to do is decide what platform we want to build our app for. You can choose between iOS, Android, web, mobile web, or third-party. Now, the platform, like I said, can support all these platforms as well as hybrid apps. So if you want to use a program like PhoneGap to build hybrid applications, you can do that as well. Let's go ahead and choose a mobile web app for the demo purposes. And let's name it Demo App 2. Add the description. And then you'll choose your registration mode. The registration mode is how you want your users to be able to access the app. You can choose anonymous so that anyone can download the app and access it. If this is an app, you want to put it in the public app store and you want a lot of users to access the app. You can also choose self-registration. so that once the user downloads the app, they'll create some credentials for the application, such as a username and password. And there are a whole lot of other different options for various different levels of security, registration by invite, verification with PINs, and then provisioned users only. This is really the most common. This means that the users are pre-provisioned either on the Halosys platform itself through your single sign-on provider or through your data source or system of record. Let's go ahead and use provisioned users only for this instance. And then we choose how those users are authenticated. DB provider would be a database or the platform, Halosys platform itself. Your single sign-on provider, which is what LDAP and SAML would be, like Ping or Okta, or your system of record. For this instance, let's use DB provider, and we'll just use the Halosys platform to authenticate the users. And those users can be added through operations and users. You can select if there's an admin app. An admin app is one app that controls the app that you're building. For instance, a content management system. So with the Halosys platform, you could, for instance, build a web app that controls your mobile app. You could control things like the content, the menu items, the branding, the colors, all sorts of various things you can control. So it adds a lot of power. You can build custom content management systems that manage your mobile apps. There's a lot you can do with that. And server URL, you can go ahead and put in your server URL, or if you can let the platform generate that for you. So let's let the platform do that, and we'll generate our app key. Okay, so we've set up our app and it's ready to go. Now what we want to do is we want to select the client objects for this app. So I think we created one called NetSuite Sales Orders. And here it is. So we'll use this object for our app. You can see here's all the fields from NetSuite that we're going to be using with this app. We'll select it and save. So now that object is mapped to our app. We can pre-provision the users. Like when we set up the app, we said pre-provisioned users only. So let's go ahead and provision myself. And save that. We can add some of our notification templates. Let's add an invite SMS. This is a text message that we can send to the pre-provisioned users to invite them to download the app, and it will have the app link. We will add a password reset in case we need to allow users to reset their password. And let's also send an email invite. Same message as the SMS invite, just a different delivery method. So now all these invites, or these notifications are available for our app. Now that we've added our notifications, we could either move on and start building the UI for this app, because this is a mobile web app. So we do have a no-code design studio that we'll show you quickly in just a little bit. But let's say that we built a native application. So in order to export the project so you can import it into the IDE of your choice to build the front end of the app, you just go to the app itself and you'll be able to download the project for Xcode, Android Studio, PhoneGap, whatever it is, whatever platform the app is built. So that your developers, they don't have to worry about any of this backend stuff. They just focus on the front end of the app, designing great user experiences. If you don't have any developers or people that know any JavaScript to develop or Swift or whatever they're going to be using to develop the front end, you can actually leverage Halosys professional services team, and we can help you build those front ends for the applications. But as I mentioned, we do have a no-code mobile front-end design studio for mobile web apps. Let's take a look at an example of an app done in the design studio. First thing you would do is design the theme for your app. So that'd be the colors, text colors, the branding. You can upload a background image instead of a flat color. In this case, it looks like there is a background image used. Then you would set the notification or the navigation for your application. So you could have a list view. You could switch over to a grid view. So this is the way that your menu looks, and these would be your menu items. The client objects that you set up would be your menu items in an HTML5 mobile web app. And then we have a bunch of icons you can use for your menu items. And everything is no code, drag and drop. What you see is what you get. Then what the next thing you would do is just map the objects that you've created to the UI interface in the Design Studio. So let's take a look at a form screen, for instance. This form screen has been mapped to a few different objects in NetSuite: last name, email, phone number, and company. And it's really easy to do. We also have some widgets here that can be used if you wanted to identify phone number, email address, date, time. This allows you to do a lot of cool things with the devices, such as click to call, add to calendar, click to email, etc. And it's super simple to add these fields. You can simply just drag and drop, and that's how it's added. Or you can drag and drop a widget, then select the object you would map that widget to. So that's just a quick tour of the Design Studio. We have a live view, and this is live data that you'd actually be seeing here in the app. It's already integrated, and at that point your app would be done and you could deploy it to users. It's that simple. But for native, more rich applications, if you want to do things like barcode scanning and get really creative and get a lot of controls, you'd want to build a native app. And our platform, of course, does allow you to do that, a native or a hybrid app for mobile or a web app. And like I said, you can use any IDE of your choice. So this is the Halosys platform in a nutshell. Like I said, we are available on suiteapp.com, or you can reach us at hello@halosys.com, or you can give us a call, 800-531-4256. So thanks for taking your time to view this demo. If you have any questions or want to set up a more in-depth demo or ask any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.